Welcome to Golf Industry Guru and the Gig Podcast, where we interview the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. On today's episode, you will learn some proven real-world solutions that'll help you and your team solve some of your biggest golf business challenges. So stick around for some tips, tools, and training to get you, your people, and your business powered on. Here's your host, James Kronk.
Well, hello, Gig Nation, and welcome to another Golf Industry Guru podcast. And I'm not sure when you're listening to this, where you're listening to this, how you're listening to this, but we are wrapping up the season with a podcast with one of our favorite gurus. She is a rock star, Melissa Hansen from Florida, a membership, sales, and marketing manager guru, brilliant mind, leader, innovator, who does all kinds of things in the world of club memberships and helping other individuals with dealing with members, bringing them in, keeping them happy, sending them out, whatever it might be. Melissa knows what she's doing in the world of private club memberships and more. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us here. It's in December 2021, and thank you so much for joining us when we're so close to Santa Claus showing up.
Thank you so much for having me, James. It is always a pleasure having a conversation with you. You always bring the entertainment, but I'm so excited for today's session. I think we're going to hit on some really important things, so I'm eager to get started.
Well, and thank you so much. And one of the reasons why we're connecting as well is because we are both speaking, presenting, filming in advance, content webinars for the Club Innovation Conference, which has got an amazing list of speakers. What are you talking about in that? That's coming up in January, middle of January. What are you talking about in that conference?
Yes. So I'm very excited for that. That is actually, it's going to be the first time I'm a part of that conference. And I just saw the lineup. It is an incredible lineup. I'm excited to be joined by you as well, speaking. I'm going to be talking on new member orientations and the process of really onboarding new members into the club.
And this is what's obviously, I mean, Melissa, we've talked about this before, and we don't need to bore people with the facts, but I remember talking to one of the gurus from the United States in the membership world, and they were telling me some stat about the fact that prior to COVID, waiting lists for clubs in general in the United States was around 16%. And here we are 2 years later, year and a half later, post-COVID, and it's like 60%, 65%. So in your world, this whole kind of energy, re-energizing of people joining clubs, of people coming into clubs, onboarding into clubs. Clubs before that were desperate for people are now pushing them away sometimes. So must be fascinating what you've gone through in your specific role in the last 18, 19, 20 months.
Yes, it's been incredible. It's certainly been a whirlwind, but as I've had the opportunity to connect with so many different clubs from around the world, we've found that, it all kind of went so fast and we didn't know that it was coming. And so all of the systems and processes were not in place. And now we're kind of having to take a moment to back up and say, wow, we just welcomed in 50 new members to the club, but what did we really do to kind of integrate them in? How are we assisting them? How are we showing them all of the benefits of their membership? And so those kind of programs we're now kind of sitting back now and saying, how can we revisit this and make sure that these members are here for many years to come?
Yeah, it's wonderful, and there's so I know you agree as well. Everyone has adapted so quickly, so well, has had to adapt, and to see these things like we sped up. It's like our world and our jobs and kind of running clubs and managing teams, managing people. It's like, I don't know about you, but the last 18, 20 months just feels like we've been on the speed dial. It's like everything is just going so much faster in our club industry, which I think is exciting. It's fascinating. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today, because here we are going into 2022, and you have kind of talked about or have identified in your travels, in your conversations with people that run clubs and onboard new members, the trends, right? You're going to talk today about some of these trends that you think are going to happen in 2022, the 5 major membership trends for 2022. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts about that. Tell me more.
Yeah. So, historically, clubs aren't typically the first to be trendsetters, right?
What? Are you kidding me? Long socks and bad shorts? Yes,
yeah. I mean, we tend to take a more traditional side of things, and we tend to kind of repeat the things that have worked in the past for us. But there's always, a few clubs that have more of a modern management approach. And I've had the opportunity to kind of work with some of those clubs and people that, might not know exactly what to do, but their management has been up to doing new things. And I think at the end of the day, what we have to do is we kind of have to take a step back and look in our personal lives, all the different things that are trending and have been new within the past 2 to 5 years. And how is life becoming more convenient for us? What are companies that we work with on a daily basis, such as Amazon and, Uber Eats and things like that? What are they doing to make life convenient? And we need to take those trends and we need to bring them to the club industry, not 10 years from now, but hopefully, within the next year. And so, I'm bringing today 5 major trends that we can implement in the club world today. And if you're ready, I am ready.
I'm ready. Let's go. What's number 1?
Okay. So the first one we're going to want to talk about is upping your technology. And what we're talking about is that, you as a consumer and your members, what can we do to implement technology so that things are becoming convenient? Okay. So for example, we can purchase a car online now. We can purchase a car online, sight unseen. We can have it delivered to our house completely, and we've never stepped foot in the showroom. Yet the majority of country clubs still have a 15 to 20 page application process that has to be filled out, in person or with their handwriting. And one of the things we want to implement is the ease of joining. So when I work with clubs, one of the first things we do is we look at the application and we say, how can we streamline this process? If somebody's ready to join, how can we, kind of muddle this down and make this an easy document to fill out and easily, return it back to the club. So I call that the form fill applications. I would definitely recommend in this day and age with technology to have a member have an easy opportunity to join the club, if that makes sense.
You bet. It's so straightforward. And you're right. These things now with COVID, how many people now are doing signatures on your computer without having to go in somewhere where you can just convert? The other day I used my phone and I signed a contract with my finger on my phone, for goodness sake. So the least we should be able to do is to have those documents and all those things easily accessible on our computer, so we don't have to make that trip if we don't need to.
Exactly. And if you think about dining reservations, that, for example, anytime I'm going to go out to dinner, especially in season here in sunny Naples, Florida, we just use an app called Open Table. And we head to Open Table, and in 2 seconds, we have a secured reservation. So when we think about the convenience of that, what are we doing to allow our members that same convenience? And we talk about mobile apps. At this point in the game, your club definitely needs to have a mobile app. When it comes to booking tea times, when it comes to making dining reservations, paying our statements, allowing that convenience that if you think, when you go to pay your credit card, we're not writing checks anymore, right? We are simply clicking a button, clicking an app on our phone, paying our monthly bill, and it's done. We need to allow that. So definitely the second part of that technology is going to be implementing a mobile app at the country club.
Awesome. Okay. Keep going.
All right. So my next one, as far as technology goes, is microsites. And that has become extremely, extremely popular. So it's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about during the new member orientation process at the Club Innovation Conference. But our orientation process has become so important, as we discussed. And what we're doing with that is, instead of hosting a new member orientation in person, we are creating a microsite. And what that is it's a page that lives off of your club's website. It's just a simple landing page. And this is going to be a page that you provide a login to a new member, and they can go to this page and it shows them every single thing that they need to know about the club. It gives them everything right there: the hours of operation, how to book a tea time, a step-by-step guide. It shows them different pictures of the dining in the clubhouse and tells them what dress code to wear in different areas of the clubhouse. Definitely highly recommend implementing a microsite. They are not expensive to create, anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000. And that's a site that just lives on forever, that a new member can access from anywhere in the country at the ease and comfort of their own home, and just click and all the information is right there.
I love it. So, I mean, technology is blowing up everywhere, like you said. And I know that, sometimes you'll talk to a general manager and they'll talk about, well, I don't want, to lose the personal touch, and I don't want to lose the staff engagement. And if they do everything online, then we're not able to kind of customize the experience and blah, blah, blah. So, but at the same point in time, I think we recognize that there's things that we don't need to pick up the phone to do that we can do much more efficiently, which actually, in this day and age of having trouble finding staff and training staff and keeping staff, obviously the more things we can automate, the more that our current staff can engage with the members in a more meaningful way.
Exactly, 100%. And I think, like what you said, just having it there as just another option. Of course, we're always going to be here. The employees are going to be here to help and walk them through any of that, any of that information. But just to have that as another means of information is essential.
Okay, so technology, number one trend for your club for 2022. What's number two?
Number two is going to be personalization. And I think this is so important. I think, if everyone takes a moment to kind of sit back and think, what experiences are you having every single day that are personalized? What are you doing every day that you're receiving a personalized experience? We need to, again, bring this in to the club space. I think I was telling you a story that I receive 100 coupons in the mail from different stores and, different vendors every single year. Let's take the Gap, for example. I receive 100 coupons in the mail from the Gap each year, but for some reason, they send me a coupon on my birthday, and that birthday coupon always gets me to go in the store and use it. Why does that stand apart from every other thing that they send me that just ends up in the trash? Because it's personalized. They are recognizing that it is my birthday, and I just can't believe that they're taking the moment to recognize that. And so I want to take that coupon and go inside and use it. So kind of taking that back to the club level, what can we do to implement personalization? One of the things is personalized gifting. That is something I highly recommend, especially with your new members, or if you have any members that are referring members to your club. There's different services that offer a personalized gifting experience. And so how cool would it be if a new member comes on board and that they're the ultimate, fitness guru, and within 2 weeks they receive a box at their house with their name customized on the box, a handwritten note from you, and like a Bluetooth speaker in the box with your club logo on it. I mean, what a different experience that is overall than just receiving, a beach tote with 2 beach towels.
Well, and I think that same thing, what comes down to, at some point, there'll be an accountant on the board, or there'll be, someone in the office that'll say, well, we can't afford that. And when you think about the value of a member and their family over the lifetime of being at that club, I can tell you that a $100 gift or a $50 gift or a $200, whatever it is, I mean, it will come back to you in spades over and over and over again. When, like you said, when you create that kind of engagement, that customization, that do something for others and they will do something back in return. And the reality is that we often restrict ourselves because we think of the cost as opposed to the investment. It's not a cost, it's an investment. You're investing in a member that is going to spend, if not literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of their lifetime at your club, in dues, in food and beverage, in programming, whatever it might be. And a personalized gift is a great example. How else can we personalize things with our membership?
Definitely. So let's just take, for example, if you have a prospective member coming into the club, we all have extra lockers in the locker room, right? So what if we took a moment to have a sign printed out where that prospective member had their own locker for the day? So when that prospect comes in, you have somebody in the golf shop walking them to the locker room, and right then and there, they have their personalized locker for the day. Another area, we're just adding personalization.
I love how the personalized gifting, I mean, that's some great ideas, when you talk about the fact that there's so many different ways, and how many new members you get. So when you get a whole bunch of new members, even if you get 5, 10, 15, I mean, there's time to be able to personalize that gift. That's awesome. So what's some other ways to personalize with your membership?
So the next one is going to be communication. So oftentimes we see that internally the club is sending out, 7 to 10 emails per week to every single member at the club. And I think what's important to kind of recognize is that every email shouldn't be directed to every member. And what we should do is we should take a moment to segment our members based on what their interest is. If you have a platform such as Members First or Club Essential or North Star, then they actually allow you to segment the members based on their interests, and members can go into their profile and they can let you know that they're interested in wine or bowling or anything like that. And what you can do is you can then target your communications to send information about the wine tasting to those that are interested in wine, if that makes sense. So personalized communication is definitely key. I mean, James, you know how bombarded we get with emails on a daily basis. So we only need to be sending emails to our members that pertain to them specifically.
Well, and it's so true. And then the other thing too, that I find that clubs do far too often is that they, and not just clubs, but like you can't always be selling. You can't always be constantly sending out, sign up, join this, buy this, do this. People want information. They want stories. They want education. They want to see their friends profiled in the hole-in-one from last week, or the story, like not just, Betty had a hole-in-one or Bill won the seniors championship. It's like, what was it? How did it happen? Where do they, they came back from 3 down with 4 holes to play. I mean, tell a story, make it romantic. And then on the 4th time, you're going to send me something. Then you can ask me to buy the New Year's Eve tickets or something else. But there's got to be that story and that information. It can't always be just selling when you're sending out that communication to the membership. That's my opinion. So, okay. So technology. And then what you mentioned there too, Melissa, obviously with that customization that's also a technology thing too. So, use the technology that's out there, Members Text, Members First, various different things that are out there from a technology standpoint that can help you make that personalized communication easy.
Yes. And the personalization kind of leads me into the next one, which is number 3. And that is going to be the rise of the member experience manager. So I don't know if you've recognized this, but nearly 90% of organizations are now hiring chief experience officers. And what you're seeing in the club world is that now they are shifting things, and they, instead of just having a membership director or a marketing manager, they are hiring the member experience manager, who is in charge of just that, the overall member experience. And it definitely ties in with personalization, but I'm just going to give you an example of one of my students, Bree. She just sent out a postcard, and it couldn't have cost her much. It's just a little postcard that you send in the mail. And it had a picture of her and Santa at the club. And she just said, Melissa, wishing you a Merry Christmas from the club at XYZ. Looking forward to a great year in 2022. Love, Bree. And when I got that in the mail with her picture and that sweet note, I thought to myself, I'm sending out Christmas cards for all of my family and friends, but I'm not sending anything out to the members. What an added bonus that was, that didn't cost her much to really hone in on that member experience. Other things we're seeing the member experience managers in charge of is really taking advantage of surveying the members. So we oftentimes tend to survey members when they're at the club, right? We have our annual club survey, but are we surveying the members when they just joined and finding out why did they select to join our club specifically, or especially exit surveys? I know we talk about them, and it sometimes can be a touchy subject, but we always want to know why folks are leaving the club. So if there is an issue, we can, address that with our staff. And that is one of the things that the member experience manager is really tackling. And they're getting, a heads up on the retention and making sure that they are retaining all of these new members that have just come in.
I love it. So number 3 is kind of that whole experience, influencer marketing, that kind of the person. And often I would assume, that can be a membership sales director. I mean, you don't have to change your title to be that individual that is responsible for the onboarding experience, the engagement experience.
Exactly. And so number 4 is going to be the influencer marketing. And so I know that we spoke about a lot of the clubs that are doing well right now, and a lot of the clubs that are, at capacity. But believe it or not, there are a lot of clubs that are still needing a little bit of assistance and that do have room to grow. So they are continuing to market their club. They are continuing to get the word out. And one of the things that has become really popular is using local influencers within your community to kind of create the FOMO around the club and get people engaged. So one of the things that we recently did at the club was we went and we were looking up our analytics of the website, and we found that most of the traffic that was coming to our club's website was from a local real estate agent who had this dynamic website that included information about every country club in the area. And people were finding his website and then navigating to the different clubs. So we partnered with him, and I'll call him a real estate influencer. We partnered with him, and we just simply asked him if we could write a guest blog on his website. And it didn't cost us anything. It didn't cost him anything. And it was an absolute win-win. We had an influx of new inquiries come in, an influx of prospective members, because all we simply did was coordinate with him and write a guest blog on his website that does receive so much traffic.
Awesome. What a brilliant idea. And I would assume, that doesn't need to be exclusive with that one realtor. You could have a blog that could help you could work with multiple realtors, obviously, or pick an industry for, maybe you've got one realtor, then you got one car dealership, then you've got one restaurant, then you've got whatever might be in their stuff. I mean, it gets back to that whole conversation about people want stories. They just don't want an ad. They want a story. So I'd assume the blog is likely about the life in the club? Is that, and living in that area? Is that kind of stuff like that?
It does. It's a little bit more generalized. So we're not talking specifically too much about our club, but we're talking about golf memberships in general. And then we do sprinkle in the club, from time to time. Of course, there's photos of the club, but we're really just providing that information, as you had mentioned, to the consumer. And then in turn, it links back to the club.
I love it. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. So I think we're on number 5.
Yes, we are. And that is going to be showcasing your club advocates and ambassadors. We all have them. We all receive the positive reviews, the kind words, the emails after an event, your welcome back party, and all the members are excited and they're emailing and saying, what a great event that is. What are we doing to really repurpose that content? Studies are showing that the human population trusts influencers and peers before they trust any marketing message. So what are we doing to actually use the physical member and their words to promote the different things at the club? So one of the things that we like to do is, let's take that welcome back party, for example. So after we do our amazing welcome back party, we have, 20 emails come in from the members and they're raving and they're talking about the entertainment and the food and they're so excited for the season. We kind of store those testimonials in a little data bank. And the next year, when we are promoting the welcome back party, we bring those out and we say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, here's their quote on saying how tremendous the welcome back party was. And we put those on social media and we put those in the e-blast promoting the event. And we use that social proof to promote events. Another thing we like to do is a member Monday at the club. So we love featuring our members as kind of like rock stars of the club. And what we do is, whether it's a member that has been there for 1 year and they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary, or if they've been there for 10 years, we like to highlight and feature them amongst the membership. And they really act like they have, landed the cover of a, high profile magazine, and they share it with all their friends, but just simply showcasing the people that are advocates of your club and the people that are saying the kind words, and thinking, how can we as membership and marketing directors kind of repurpose that content to show other people what members are saying?
That's so good. I love it. That makes me think about a couple things. First of all, a little trick, by the way, when you're doing surveys, is that you can have a box that says, please click here if you do not want us to use any of your comments in future marketing materials. So, because obviously when you do surveys, you get lots of people that say, I love it, or they say, I hate it, or whatever. But if you give them a chance, it's kind of that implied opt-in, so that you can use some of those quotes in some of your materials, because that's obviously one of the challenges we have, is that we want to gather these things so that we can use them going in the future. But then the other thing I like about that, Melissa, when you talk about your advocates and ambassadors, I don't know about you, but in the club world, we tend to kind of get dragged down by the 10%. Right. And so it's the loudest voices in the room. It's the complainers in the room. We tend to get pulled in the direction of, there used to be a member that every once in a while I would say to her, so is anything going right today, Mrs. Smith? Because basically speaking, I knew that chances were that Mrs. Smith was going to complain about something. It's just a matter of what time of the day. Right. So I would get there in advance, I get there in advance. But you're right, because we need, that's why we do, for example, that's why we do surveys. We do surveys so that when Mrs. Jones says, the salad's terrible, we get to say, yeah, you might think that, and I'm sorry you think that. However, 98% of the people that we just surveyed last month love the salad. So shut up, basically speaking. So having those advocates, those ambassadors is a great way. I've seen we at a club that we managed once, Melissa, we identified a group of 5 or 6 influencers, and we gave them a special head cover for their golf bag. We said that their job was to communicate, to meet with new members that came on board, to shake hands, kiss babies, to be an extension of our team. And they were, these guys were incredibly proud of having that special head cover that identified them as an ambassador that we had at the club. And we would say to other members, Mr. Jones is one of our most positive, outspoken supporters of our club, and we want him to be celebrated and to be able to communicate that to everyone he comes across. So of course I'm going to give him a head cover and make him part of our ambassador club, because that's one of the ways that keeps the club healthy. So yeah,
100%. We actually implemented giving our ambassadors business cards. So they look like our club card, but instead of saying, membership director, it will say club ambassador. And they would hand those out like they were so proud. And they would do it, if they were at a local restaurant and they met somebody at the bar, they would pull out their club ambassador card. And that was just really, they felt proud to be recognized as that. They felt proud to be, deemed as one of the ambassadors. And I think what you're saying, just like the head cover, that's also an idea that you can do too.
Well, and it's also very important that your ambassador club represents a cross section of the membership, right? So it's also, what often happens is clubs as well. We know sometimes there can be cliques, there can be these groups, once again, the loudest group in the bar, in the restaurant, but there's lots of other silent, individuals that are not as loud, not as boisterous, but they promote the club in their own way, in their own circle, in their own way of delivering a message. So when you do identify those ambassadors, don't get just attracted to the shiny object and the loudest voice. Recognize that there are people that are exposed to large groups of potential members that you might not even know about. Whether maybe they're a realtor, like you said, maybe they're a realtor, maybe they're a dentist, maybe they're part of a cultural community, and they're considered a leader in their cultural community. There's different types of ways to bring ambassadors into your club, into your program. I love that. That's great, Melissa. Those are 5 fantastic trends that I agree with you 100% are really positive things for clubs to focus on going into 2022. I love it.
Awesome. So good. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share today.
My pleasure. So I think you've written an article. They'll be able to find that somewhere, probably on social media. How do people get in touch with you again? Just one more time, because for those clubs out there, I know you've got a master class, Melissa, that you do online. I know you've worked with some of my clients and helped them immensely with their membership onboarding, with their membership packages, et cetera, et cetera. Tell our listeners a little bit about what you've got coming up and how they can engage with you and learn from your expertise.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. So, yes, as you mentioned, I am on social media. I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn. And so, I will be posting that article shortly on the 5 trends so that we can recap this session today. My Instagram is at Melissa Hansen Official. And then on LinkedIn, I am just Melissa Hansen. Everyone can certainly visit the website, melissahansen.com. I have a ton of free resources and free downloads that people can kind of download so that they can implement at their club, whether that is national holidays, whether that is email marketing trends. I have a lot of resources there. But then, as you mentioned, I will be at the Club Innovation Conference. That is January 11th and 12th. And then I will have an onboarding masterclass, which will be virtual, that anyone is welcome to attend. And that is going to take place on January 20th. So all of that information will be, I'll hand it over to you so you have it for your students as well. But I just want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on today.
My pleasure. It's always a treat, Melissa, and I'm excited. I have to wait all the way until May, but I just today saw the teaser poster for the conference that I'm coming to your neck of the woods to speak at in May, and I'm very excited about meeting your tribe in person and everybody else. So I'm looking forward to that, but more information coming soon. So Melissa, thank you so much for giving Gig Nation some wonderful, valuable information on membership trends for 2022. I would invite all listeners to reach out to melissahansen.com and to just take it all in. There's so much information. There's so much valuable content there for you to help your club. And I look forward, Melissa, to doing this again. We will no doubt be back in touch again soon with another topic to help our members. So thank you so much. And Santa Claus will be very good to you. I have no doubt about it.
Cheers to 2022.
Thanks for listening to the Gig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode and mostly that you learned a few things that will help you improve your business. Join us next time as we continue to bring you the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. Thanks for listening.